Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today, an evil land serpent has been terrorizing the inhabitants, and the only way to put a stop to him is by commandeering a ship, heading down the treacherous Shadow River, and challenging him face to face on Bloodthorn Island. Dark Tomb, Bloodthorn Island, is a new standalone adventure that is an ultra-portable, cooperative dungeon crawler for 1 to 5 players. It takes 15 to 40 minutes to play, it's for ages 12 and up, and published by Cause Games. Now it's on Kickstarter right now, so I'm going to show you how the game works, and I'll see you on the other side. This is a Kickstarter preview, so all the art and components you see here are not final, they're prototypes. To see the most up-to-date art and components, check the Kickstarter link in the description of this video. Today we're going to be focusing on Bloodthorn Island. This is the next adventure in Dark Tomb, and you don't have to play the original one before this one. You could play them in any order. Now, one cool thing about this is the characters from either of these are interchangeable. You could play the characters from here and here, or from here and here. Also, it is ultra portable. To give you a size here, this tin is about the size of just my hand there. This fits right in your pocket. Now, at the beginning of the game, you're going to be able to select one of these 4 characters, and they're going to have different attributes like armor and movement. Now, if there's a 5th player, that player will actually be playing as the monsters. In addition to that, each character has 2 specific action cards, and each of those cards have 2 actions. So each character is going to have 4 actions that are different from everyone else, so you can pick the one that suits your playstyle most. And once you've selected your character, you'll be using a cube of your color to track the hit points and your actions. Now the game comes with 3 different stages: South Docks, Shadow River, and Bloodthorn Island. And your first time through the game, it's best to sort of play through these in order. But once you've done that, you can come back and play any stage individually. Now by default, the object of each stage is to reveal all of the map tiles and defeat all the monsters, but some stages have some certain rules about them. Now here's setting up the South Docks. In addition to revealing all those tiles and defeating all the monsters, in this one you also must find and dock a ship. Okay, so it shows you how to set this up in a certain form factor, and then this shows you where the starting tile is. And so you'll reveal the start tile, and every time you reveal tiles, you flip from top to bottom. And so this shows you where the different characters start, and so you'll put the corresponding cubes on there as well. But off to the side, also left to right, you'll have some item cards, monster cards, and a level completion card that you'll read once you finish this specific stage. Now there's a character turn card here that shows you that you're going to be moving, then taking an action. Now you'll roll this die, and whoever rolls the highest will get to go first. So you're going to move, take some actions, and then possibly do some free actions. Now once all the characters have done this, you're then going to go to a stage turn. We'll talk about that later. So we're going to have her go first, and here we have up to 5 movements. So she's right here. Let's say she goes 1, 2, 3. Now you can go in cardinal directions. You can't go diagonal. You can move through characters, but you can't end your movement on them. And then for a free action, if we're next to an unexplored tile, we can flip that. And again, you always flip top to bottom. And now that we flipped it, we have an item here and a monster here. Now, quick to note that even if you play this same stage on another time, when you flip it, it might be something completely different. It might be something like this, and now you've got a monster right there, right next to you. So you can play the same stage over and over, and things are going to be different as you explore. So let's say we actually just kept it this way, where we're close to this monster. We're going to show you some attacking here. So we would bring out the top monster, it's the Dweezil. We'd put that marker on there, and we would give it a certain amount of hit points depending on the players, 1, 2, 3, or 4. So we're playing with 4 players, so it's got 8 hit points there. Now if you remember, we have up to 5 movements. We've only moved 3. So we could do a couple of different things. Maybe we want to attack them with a certain attack, and maybe we want to sort of run away a little bit, stay in range, and still be able to hit them. Or maybe we want to run down here, 1, 2, 3, because I know that I have, one of my special actions is to dash, is move up to 3 additional spots. Now if I did that, I could, again, we had only moved 1, 2, 3, we had 2 left, so I could have moved here and here, okay? And then I could have used my other 3 to go 1, 2, 3, and if you go on to or pass an item, you'll be able to get that. And so this would have showed I would have dashed, which means next turn I cannot use this ability again. I have to pick another one. But I would have gotten this item, which is a plank that's used to cross over any one water space to reach another dock. And it can only be utilized by the character that possesses the plank. Now that's important because right now I possess it. And so on a future turn I could be running down here and then use the plank to get up over here. But For a free action, you can pass an item. If another character were to go through me, then those characters could pass items to each other as long as they both say okay. But remember, you can't end your turn on one of these. Now, it's going to be a little harder to get here too because this is an obstacle that blocks movement, but it does not block attack. Now, I would have done this knowing that I'm leaving myself susceptible to the attack of this monster, but I wanted to get the item. That's a choice that I wanted to make. Now let's say it was this character's turn. They can move up to 5, and they've got some cool attacks. I'm actually going to show you a Raven attack. Now some of these attacks, you just need line of sight, and that's from the middle of your square to the middle of another square of the monster where you're trying to attack. This is a range of 1, for example. This one is a range of 3 to 5, but this is a Raven attack. This one can actually go around corners as it shows, which is really cool. So this person could move 1, 2, just like that. Remember, he moves up to 5. And now look at this. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're 5 away, and that Raven attack can go around corners like that. And so by doing this, we're going to be selecting this. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to roll the D20. So let's say we rolled a 10. Now after the 10, we're going to look at the attack. This attack gives us a +2. So we are at 12. And I brought this closer just to see here. Now, this has an armor of 12. If you did 12 or higher, you're going to be able to give it some damage. And we did. We got exactly a 12. So as long as it was 12 or higher, we did damage. Now, the amount of damage is shown here, 2. So we're going to do 2 damage here. Now, by the way, if you roll a 20 on the die, you deliver additional damage. But if you roll a 1, you actually lose damage yourself, 1 damage. Now let's show you another type of attack. Now we've fast forward here a little bit. We've explored more. We've found another monster. And let's say it is this player's turn. Now, let's say they're going to attack with the Stone Heave. Now, this shows line of sight, but it shows 2 different ones, which means you can actually, if you have line of sight to 2 different monsters, and they're both within this range of 3 to 5, you could try to damage both of them. Where this one, it's just a range of 1, and you're going to try to do a mace blow to just 1 monster. So I brought these in a little closer so we can see everything at once here. So let's say we rolled a 9. So we have the 9, the Stone Heave is +3, so that's 12. This one has an armor of 12. So let's look at this monster here. Now, to have line of sight, you have to be able to draw from the center of this square to the center of this square. Look at this, going over water. You can also go through monsters or other characters. That's okay for line of sight. And so, yes, we do have line of sight here. And are we within 3 to 5 spots? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are. So in this case, and because it has an armor of 12, and we had exactly 12, so we had to have 12 or higher, which we did, we'd be able to do 1 damage here. But let's look at the other monster. Here we have line of sight. We can shoot through these things. We can draw the line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're exactly 5 away, so we still could do it. However, we rolled a 9, and we had the +3, which is a 12, but this one had an armor of 14, so it did not do any damage there. Now, after each character has moved and then taken an action, and again, sometimes we're doing some free actions, then once all characters have done this, we're going to go to the stage turn. So you roll the die. If it's a 19 or 20, a seismic event happens and all characters will take a damage. And then the monster turns happen. They're each going to move and then attack. Now, the monster's going to move left to right, top to bottom. So this one's going to go first. Now, this one can do an attack with a range. It can hit up to 2 characters for range 2 to 5. Right here, both of these characters are within 2 to 5. And in fact, this one is exactly 5. So it's not going to actually even move because it can hit both of these characters right now. It had started right here. It's 6 spots from here. It would be able to hit this one, but it knows it could move up to 3. In this case, it's going to move 1. And now it has both of these in its line of sight and for how far the range needs to be. So it would stop and it would attack. And the monster's attack worked the same way as the characters. They'll roll the dice. They'll look at the +4 here to it, and then you'll look at the armor of the characters, and if so, if it did do damage, it would do that much damage to the characters. Now, if we looked at this one, the monsters always move the least amount needed to make an attack. This one needs to be in a range of 1. It can move up to 5. So this one needs the least amount of movement, so it will just move here. It's now within a range of 1, and it's going to do the attack, such as I showed you the other ones as well. But let's say the monster is here and it hasn't moved yet. Well, it's 1 spot away to get into range of either of these characters, and in this case, the tie is broken from left to right, top to bottom, so it would go here and attack this one. Now remember, if you're playing with a 5th player, that player is controlling the monsters, and they can do whatever they want. They don't follow any of these sort of rules or procedures that these monsters go through to see where to move and who to attack. And in this first stage, you're trying to reveal all the tiles, you get the ship to the docks here, and you have defeated all the monsters. In this case, you'd read the backside of this, but I'm not going to spoil that for you. Now let's take a look at the second stage a little bit here, the Shadow River. You start with that ship, so that's the reason why the first time you kind of play through the whole story here, where you found the ship, and you're trying to, again, reveal all these and just defeat all the monsters. Now, however, in this one, now that you're in the ship here, when it's a character's turn, they're going to move the ship up to 3 spaces in any direction, but not diagonal, and then the ship's going to advance 2 spaces downstream. So I might go 1, 2, and then it's going to go 2 spaces downstream. I could have gone a third, so it's going to go 1, 2, and now we can explore this again, always top to bottom, and then we've got it like this. And of course now we've got a monster and an item. Now these are rapids, so let's say we started to move it down here. As soon as you move it into these rapids, it must move all the way to the end of it. So it would actually end up going to this next one. And that's a little tricky because any part of the ship goes off the last spot of water, then you've lost. And I don't want to spoil this and show you all the cards in the game, so this is generally how the second one works. I don't want to show you a whole lot more, but this is the beginning of the third stage, Bloodthorn Island, where now you've gotten the ship, it's docked, and then you're going off into different terrain as well. And you will come across monsters now that can actually attack more than one character and even through walls. That's what that vertical line means. So I don't want to show you a whole lot more. I don't want to spoil a lot of things for you, but in general, in a nutshell, that's how the game is played. So now that you know how the game works, let's look a little bit more at some of these special actions. Like this one is a dive and slice. So you move 1 or 2 additional spaces before the attack, but instead of adding your dice, you're going to subtract 1. So it gives you little pluses and minuses there. This is a frantic charge. Look at this. So you can possibly do 3 damage to someone, but you're going to get a -5 to whatever your die roll is, and you need to reduce your armor by 2 in the next turn because you leave yourself susceptible to an attack, if you will. Couple other ones here, the Raven Sweep. You can get an item from up to 4 spaces away. That's pretty cool, or from another character. And then here, you can actually, if you roll 11 and 20, you can heal 1 hit point. You can do that once successful per stage. Well, there you have Dark Tomb Bloodthorn Island, and as I showed in the overview, there are 3 stages you can play together sequentially or individually in any order, and the characters are fully interchangeable between adventures. Now, if you'd like to see the most up-to-date art and components and all the different pledge levels available, you can click the link right below me in the description of this video. That will take you directly to a Kickstarter project page, and I'm sure that Cause Games would love your support.